Om. So we are going to talk about the proper pronunciation of the Maha Mrityunjaya mantra, which is a very popular mantra, and a lot of people are pronouncing it a little bit wrong. It's a Vedic mantra, so it's very important that we get the pronunciation and the swaras, the melody, correct to have the best results with this mantra. The Maha Mrityunjaya mantra is one of the most popular Vedic mantras recited for japa and used in yajnas. It is a prayer to Lord Shiva in the form of Maha Mrityunjaya, the conqueror of death, for healing, immortality, and the release of bondage. It is a powerfully purifying mantra which requires some amount of spiritual purity to chant well. Of course, we need to know our basic Sanskrit sounds to chant any mantra correctly. English speakers have trouble in particular because the Sanskrit sounds are different than the English ones. I will point out a few differences to be aware of to help improve this powerful, the chanting of this powerful Vedic mantra. Is this okay? I clicked something. So first we need to know about the Sandhi, the combination of sounds. When certain Sanskrit letters come together, they are joined to create different sounds. An example for this would be ashta, meaning 8. When this comes together with anga, meaning limb, we get ashtanga. So the short plus turns into the long when those two sounds come together. Plus equals So ashta becomes ashtanga. So in the case of our mantra, a common mistake even for Indians when reciting the Maha Mrityunjaya mantra is to not add proper sandhi at the beginning syllable. In this case, the rule is I plus equals ya. So tri, meaning 3, comes together with ambakam, meaning eyes, to become triambakam. Should be one syllable, triya, not triya. One syllable, triya, 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 triya. Additionally, that first syllable, triya, should be pronounced with the swarita swara, the high pitch, which a lot of people will skip this as well. The other syllables are pronounced with the udatta swara, the middle pitch. Triambakam, 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 like so. Let's review the swaras. There are 3 swaras or musical notes used in the Veda chanting. These are anudatta, the low pitch, udatta, the middle pitch, swarita, the high pitch. And there's also a 4th notation for dirgha swara, which changes pitch from the middle to the high note. So this is like and then that dirgha is These are indicated by notations in the mantra text. These notations are respectively a horizontal line below for anudatta, no marking for the udatta, and a vertical line above for the swarita. And 2 vertical lines above will indicate the dirgha swara. So in the mantra, this would appear as shown. And the sound sounds like triambakam, triambakam. I don't think that the swara is there in the Sanskrit as well. It's just small, so it's hard for me to see. So for the proper Vedic swaras for the melody, we should view the notations in a mantra text if we're using a text. So another point we'll make with the Sandhi is before we get too far from this subject, we want to point this out as well in the same first word, triambakam. When it comes before, when the ma comes before a ya, it's pronounced like ang. So we say triambakang yajamahe, triambakang Triambakam yajamahe, like so. So one thing we need to be aware of, especially the Westerners who are not speaking the Indian languages, is there are short vowels which get one beat, like the and there's long vowels that get two beats, like ah, It's it's elongated. That's why they call it a long vowel. So we need to be aware of our long vowels, which are a, I, U, R, R, E, I, O, and ow. Each of these must get two beats. If we hear an Indian speaker say the word Veda, for example, it's elongated when they say A. It sounds different. Or yoga. When the English speakers say it, they say yoga. But when the Indians say it, they say yoga, because that O is a long vowel sound. This distinction is sometimes even less clear for the Hindi speakers, but in the Veda chanting, it should be very clear. We get one beat or two beats for short and long vowel. So in the Sanskrit mantras, the long vowels always get much more emphasis. They would be clear from their duration in the mantra, even if the letter is not clear. Listen to the mantra and notice the long vowels are underlined in red in our text here. Triambakam yajamahe sugandhim pushtevardhanam urvarukamiva bandhanan mrityormukshya mamrityunjaya. So we should watch for those and be sure to elongate those. Then we need to consider the aspirated consonants. These do not exist in English, but the sounds basically do exist. So the Sanskrit da letter is a little different than in English. We'll address that separately. If we take a word that ends in a da, like red, we follow this with a word that begins with a ha, like honey, then we get this sound. If these two words are said in quick succession, the aspirated sound can be heard. A common mistake for Westerners is to pronounce these like two syllables, daha. This is wrong. It should be one, da. Red honey, red honey, red honey, red honey, red honey, da, da, da. Should be, Hindi speakers often will de-emphasize the aspirated sound. So it's a da may sound like a da may sound like a da. So the da sound in dasha, meaning 10, should sound very different from the da in dharma, meaning duty. In Sanskrit, we say these aspirated sounds very clearly, so difference can be heard easily. So some of these aspirated sounds in this mantra are sugandhim, vardhanam, bandhanan. So then we need to be aware of the difference between the dental and cerebral sounds. In this diagram, it shows the 5 different places where certain consonants are made. The guttural are made from the throat, the back of the tongue. These are like ka, ka, ga, ga, nga. The palatal sounds are voiced from the back of the hard palate with the top of the tongue. These are like cha, cha, ja, ja, and nya. And then the cerebral, also called retroflex sounds, are voiced from the hard palate, front of the hard palate with the tip of the tongue. So tip of the tongue goes up to the top of the mouth, ta, ta, da, da, na. And then the dental is voiced from the back of the teeth with the tip of the tongue. So it's softer than in English. Ta, ta, da, da, na. And the labial is voiced with the lips, not using the tongue. Pa, pa, ba, ba, ma. These are all like in English, except the cerebral and dental sounds. So English speakers must watch these two in particular in the mantras. So the ta in Triambakam is dental. So we must touch the tip of the tongue to the back of the top row of the teeth for a softer sound than in English. The da in Sugandhim is also dental. Touch the teeth. The sha in Pushti, sha, ta, though both are cerebral. Sha, ta. So we must take the tip of the tongue way back to touch the front of the hard palate at the top of the mouth. The da in Vardhanam is dental. The na in Vardhanam also is dental. The da in bandhanan is dental, so is the na, and the ta in mrityor is dental. The shya in mukshiya is cerebral, and the two ta in mamritat are dental. The ras in urva rukamiva should be rolled. The ra also in mrityor should be rolled a little bit, also in mamritat. This is that vowel sound. The final ra in mrityor should be rolled also. To get the proper rhythm for chanting, we must not only be aware of the long vowels and give them more duration, but to be aware of the separate words and pause slightly between. Every syllable should be said with more or less the same force and volume. There are some rules that alter that slightly, but that's beyond the scope of this video. Generally, some syllables should not be loud while others are quiet. We should not fluctuate or vibrate the tone, but produce a steady, even sound. Every syllable should be distinct, and extra syllables should not be added. Sometimes in English, we almost add an additional syllable to a word like chakra. When Westerners say this word, it can almost sound like there's an additional syllable, chakra, 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 but chakra. In Sanskrit, chakra, chakra, chakra. Two syllables only. Vedic mantras like this should never be sung like a song with different melodies. The Veda swaras, the Vedic melody revealed by the sages, is very important to get right. For example, if we change the first syllable from the swarita swara, the high pitch, to the udata, the middle pitch, which is a common mistake which people make in this mantra, the energy of the mantra changes. This configuration of swaras with the swarita first helps to humble a person and invoke blessings from beyond what binds us. This helps empower the mantra's ability to free us from bondage. When we change the swara to the udata, the result is to create a more stagnation in the energy. This change could prevent the mantra from bestowing its full power to release us from what binds us. If we change the swaras in the word bandhanan, we can cause the mantra to bind us rather than to release us from bonds. If we change the swaras in mamritat, the effect can be for the mantra to kill us instead of to free us from death. This effect also can be achieved by changing the first long ah in mamritat to a short ah. This is a mistake one of my students made, and on account of this simple mistake, the mantra was making him sick. So listen to the slight pause between words. Triambakang yajamahe sugandhim pushte vardhanam urva rukamiva bandhanan mrityor mukshiya mamritat. So we should practice all these sounds and get them down very good before we try to add the swaras. So once we have the pronunciation and the rhythm down, we must carefully note and add the swaras, the Vedic melody. It is a good idea to practice the sounds first, like I said. Then we can add the swaras as follows. Triambakang yajamahe sugandhim pushte vardhanam urva rukamiva bandhanan mrityor mukshiya mamritate. I'll do it 3 times. Triambakang yajamahe sugandhim pushte vardhanam urva rukamiva bandhanan mrityor mukshiya mamritate. Triambakang yajamahe sugandhim pushte vardhanam urva rukamiva bandhanan mrityor mukshiya mamritate. The swaras, if we're offering it in a fire ceremony, will change. In this case, just at the end, it will change from mamritate to mamritat swaha. So the dirgha swara in mamritat changes to the anudata, the low pitch, and then it's followed by swaha with a dirgha swara on the syllable ha. Swaha mamritat swaha triambakang yajamahe sugandhim pushte vardhanam urva rukamiva bandhanan mrityor mukshiya mamritat swaha. And then after we finish the offerings, we could say Maha Mrityunjaya Yedam Namama. This means this is for Maha Mrityunjaya. It is not mine. Hari Om.